When I was 12 years old, I was a Boy Scout and I tried to get the swimming merit badge. They passed me, but I was a terrible swimmer. Later on, as I got to be college age, I did a team triathlon with some friends and really wished that I knew how to swim. At age 37, I tried again. I went out with some friends. They taught me some of the swimming techniques and stuff. And then soon after that, I moved to Germany. And a friend of mine introduced me to a new book. It was called Total Immersion Swimming. And at that point, I kind of swam like this gentleman that you can see here in the picture. My legs were down in the water. I was basically swimming uphill. As you can see, his body is directed uphill. So he's doing a lot of extra effort. I really got carried away with the idea of this total immersion book and started practicing it. It taught me how to balance my body in the water and how to float. So as you see me come by, you can see that things are pretty effortless when it comes to swimming now. And you go pretty darn fast doing it the right way. So my goal in creating this video is to kind of introduce you to some of the earliest steps on what to do and how to get your body into that position, how to learn how to swim in this way. I give all the credit to the people who wrote this book and to, I think his name is Terry Laughlin, his technique, because it really rang true to me. I'm an engineer by trade, and when I saw the physics of what he was actually showing in his book, it only made sense that there was an easier way to swim. So now when I go swimming, I don't see swimming as something other than I can do it for a long time, like when I'm out running. So we're going to talk about some of those things now as we watch these videos. Just to point out, I have many different swimsuits. When I put on my Speedo swimsuit, it means I'm coming to the pool to do workouts. I'm coming to do work, and mentally I get in that frame of mind. So the first drill I want to talk to you about is just basic floating. You put your hands to your sides, and then you try and learn how to balance and how to float. So the easy part about floating is floating on your back or floating on your stomach. The hard part about floating is when you float on your side. So this is what I'm demonstrating, how to rotate my body and not sink. So the trick of this is to push down the things that float. That raises up the things that don't float. So if I was going to make a list of things, so heads don't float. They displace water. Legs don't float. They displace water. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to push down your chest cavity into the water so that the rest of your body comes up. To do that, you keep your head in one position. You look at the bottom of the pool and you start to rotate your body. And as your body gets to a point where it can no longer hold that head in that position, then you let your head rotate up to the upward position. Notice that I'm looking up at the top of the ceiling until my body rotates to a point where I look and I face down. And then I'm floating on my stomach. Once you're floating on your stomach, it's actually the easiest position to maintain floating by. So when you get in that position, you want to be relaxed. You want to do a nice light flutter kick. May I emphasize light. Now, this is at a little bit further advanced. This is when you put one arm out. So my arm, by having it out in front of me, actually helps balance my body. So while I'm doing a light kick, I can put my head up, look for air, rotate my head back down, look at the bottom of the pool. And by doing this, I'm learning to actually float in the position where you can actually go the fastest in the water. Think of it in terms of a ship versus a barge. When a ship goes through the water, it's pushing water around it, or a barge, I guess, pushes water around it. The water has to travel farther. It makes for more resistance. Well, that's your first lesson. So I would encourage you, go to the pool, spend a lot of time, okay? When I first did the total immersion technique, I was a swimmer, I was doing triathlons, but I was doing terrible. When I got out of the water in a triathlon, I was so tired that I could barely run and barely swim, bike as well. So my goal in doing this technique was basically learn a way that I could swim without exhausting myself. And this is kind of where I came to. Just to say a little bit more about it, I stopped swimming when I started reading this book and learning how to float. And for the next 3 months, I did nothing but do floating exercises like the ones you just saw me do for a couple of seconds at a time. I would encourage you, spend the time learning to float. Once you're floating like that, once your body is on top of the water, you have to only supply the forward thrust with your arms. And that can be done much, much easier. We're going to talk about those things in another video. But first, make the boat float. Like a canoe, now you're just paddling the canoe along. And when I need to breathe, I just rotate my head to the side a little bit, and there's air. All the time while I was growing up and doing my swimming, every time I rotated my head, I would find that there just wasn't any air there. And so I always joke with my friends that at some point in time I would just grow gills and I would be more fish-like. But with this technique, you can swim very fast and at the same time very efficiently. Just this training swim up here. This is Pineview Reservoir. I absolutely love this area. They have a buoyed off area where it's just nothing but swimmers. And this time of year, the water's about 50 degrees, and there's not a lot of swimming traffic on here either. But it was gorgeous, looking at the fall colors.
So you liked the swim?
Oh, I love this swim. It's a great swim.
And your wetsuit was fast?
Oh, comfortable, warm. Yeah.
And kept you warm?
Yeah, that was great.